Hey everybody, I am live and we're going to have a late talk about the Raiders and the Kansas City Chiefs game, and the game that fans say, well, they gave it fight and it was great, and they didn't fold and they didn't all this other, you know, nice stuff that people like to say, when the point of fact is they are actually were kind of expecting them to lose, right? Well, we didn't expect you to win, so this was like a nice fight. I mean, we're at the point where we are accepting mediocrity. We're saying, well, actually, worse. We're accepting bad performance. Okay, we're accepting subpar play. We're accepting, it hurts. It's we're accepting the fact that we could have beat the Chiefs. We should have. Excuse me. Should have beat Chiefs Kingdom. Okay, face it. I mean, what better position have Chiefs Kingdom in than to have them lose on the night before the game, their star running back, okay, because of some stupid stuff that he had no business doing involving a 19-year-old girl. I mean, it's just, dah. I mean, don't get me started with that. It's just kind of like, Kareem, man, why did you go ballistic like that? I mean, the details aside, I get that she called you the this and all that, but you're a public figure, okay? Well, maybe you learned your lesson right now. I hope, but hey, for him to be involved in this, and I have to just say it, any player, particularly any black NFL player in this day and age when people are just looking for some black guy to do something wrong. It's like, oh, you're gonna do something wrong, okay? Don't. Just don't get into that situation. And don't surround yourself with people who you have to give money to make happy, and they're not your family. Because hey, look, I'm telling you, Fred Lane Jr. was my cousin. His wife took his life, and my aunts and aunties told him, hey, stay away from her. He didn't. He went and married her. She had no good for him. No good. Okay. So that, if your family is telling you that, to tell you mind your own P's and Q's, mind your P's and Q's. That's the worst case scenario. Kareem Hunt was lucky he didn't encounter people who were thinking in those ways. All right. Now, the Raiders should have beaten the Chargers. I just say the Chargers for because I'm exhausted. The Chiefs. I'm also, because I had the Chargers on my mind, because the Chargers are basically the class of the AFC West. Do you realize that? The team no one picked to win the AFC West, at least no one that I know of, is on pace to win the AFC West. All right. I also have to explain that and give a shout out to two women at Saturday's Cal Stanford big game who saw this man, me, trying to go down the stairs, could not move, didn't ask for help, was trying to figure out, struggling how to get my immobile legs up the stairs, just two flights of stairs, okay, and retrace my course toward an easier path. They came to my rescue. What happened was that, for some explicable reason, uh, at all, my body, well, there's some explanation, but my body literally froze come fourth quarter as I'm standing at Memorial Stadium watching the game inside to keep warm and watching it on a monitor. And it's quite literally, once I decided to move, it was hard to. I had to put, like, this, the song goes from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer with the, uh, abominable snowman, all that. You put one foot in front of the other. I had to actually talk myself. I had to actually sing that song out loud. Some people thought I was crazy. Just to get my mind, to force my body to move. That's how bad I hurt. When I did move, my calves were vibrating in protest. They were shimmering. They were spasming in protest. I didn't know what was going on. Those ladies helped me. Well, everyone said, that happens when you don't have enough rest. I got off and I was dehydrated. That never happened to me before. So what did I do? I came back in last night, 7 o'clock. I slept from 7 until 1 in the morning. Woke up from 1 until 3, went back to sleep. Got up at 9:30 this morning, got ready to go to the football game, went to the football game a little late. My objective was to do everything slowly but surely and not spend too much energy and have nutrients after water after water after water. Okay. What does that all have to do with now? Simple. When I went to the Raiders game, I continued the effort of having water, of resting, and I did 2 live stream interviews there, which are on YouTube right now. And I thank you. And I have more videos with fans I've interviewed that I'm going to put up later. But I wanted to get this out of the way and done and out there and talk about what happened and also take time to thank people like those 2 women who, you know, uh, we never really, well, we did exchange names, but that aside, they came out of the blue. They were like the cavalry, and they are a testament to the fact that people in society, for all the bad you hear about because the media pushes it, are really great. Now, that that health that I'm going through makes my brain sometimes think about one thing, like the Chargers, when I'm thinking about the Chiefs, and so I say the Chargers instead of the Chiefs. So that's how all that big ball of wax fits together. Now, moving along. Osmond Dias 714, how are you doing? Everybody else, how are you doing? Osmond Dias 714 says, you can't win with tree fumble. No, you can't. You can't win with turnovers. You can't win with a defense that's not stopping the offense when it should. But here's the thing, okay? This is my major takeaway from that contest. The Chiefs really watched the film of the Baltimore Ravens versus the Oakland Raiders the previous week. And you would say, well, they had to because that was the previous opponent. Yeah, I get that. But it's not so much that they had to, but it's what they took away from it that I thought was intriguing. The misdirection runs of a type that will haunt the Raiders for some weeks from now and continue to haunt them until they get it fixed. And that is this tendency for their linemen to basically chase the pulling guards and tackles, chase the flow of the play one way when the running back goes the other. The Chiefs ran their version of a very devastating approach that the Ravens pushed on the Raiders 7 times, and all for very effective gains. Okay. And then when they weren't actually running that play, they were using that with play action. Very effective game plan. And not only that, it was a standard fare for what the Chiefs have done all year. All they had to do was emphasize that part of the game. That's all they had to do. Emphasize that part of the game. So, how many of you were at the game and today? I was there. Again, I want to thank Brian Mims and his girlfriend for their fantastic 17 plus minute long interview with me. And I want to thank the other couple, including a number of people that I interviewed who Brian Mims was one, and father son, I call them team of Raider fans was the other, who I've interviewed before at the Coliseum. So this is like a follow-up, right? Osmond Dias says, Kareem Hunt's career is over, shaking my head. You know, I don't know that his career is over, but because it leaves out the possibility that he can overcome this. And once the details are released, okay, it's not I don't know. I haven't read the details on it. I don't know. In fact, you know what? Since I'm saying I haven't read, I don't know, and I'm on the internet, right? Why don't I just write Kareem Hunt and just see what the latest information about him is? It says ESPN is basically reporting that during the investigation of assault, the NFL didn't talk to Kareem Hunt or the woman, um, and USA Today says that he's um, and is embarrassed by the video of the attack on the woman. Embarrassed, yeah. Speaking publicly for the first time since the Friday release of a video of him shoving and kicking a woman in a February incident. And isn't it too bad that we're talking about this rather than just the game? I'll come back to the game, but since he point that out, says he was embarrassed and sorry for the incident, but still hoped to be forgiven and afforded another chance in the NFL. He said, honestly, I just want to let the world know how sorry I am for my actions. And it's been a tough time for me. I am extremely embarrassed because of that video. I'm definitely not that type of person. My mother raised me right. I know right from wrong. Yeah, he didn't act like it. He was like he was drunk. And it says in the video published by TMZ Friday, Hunt engaged in a verbal altercation with a woman at a Cleveland hotel and then shoved her. The woman subsequently swatted at Hunt's face. Two men walked Hunt away before he charged back, colliding with a man who then knocks over the woman. While she was on the ground, Hunt kicked the woman with his right foot. Hunt offered few details Sunday when asked about the incident. This should have said Hunt offered few details Sunday when asked about how the incident unfolded. It was just a long night, and to be exact, it don't really matter what happened. Hunt said, I was in the wrong. Actually, it does matter. But, so there you go. All right, now, this is something that the Chiefs should have taken care of right then and there when they knew the video was out there. Osmond says he will be back in the NFL. And I don't know. And I say I don't know because this has a Ray Rice feel to it. You see, once again, here we are with a situation that involves a video. All right. The difference between Reuben Foster and Kareem Hunt is Reuben Foster, no video. Kareem Hunt, video. That's the difference. Okay. And so when you have a video and the video shows you as an NFL player in the wrong, guess what? It marks you in a way that where it's pretty hard to come back from that. Ezekiel Elliott, no video. All right. Kareem Hunt, video. Right. So that's why I say that. I mean, I'm trying to think of a single case involving domestic violence in the NFL that involved a video where the person came back into the league and is now performing at a normal level. Anyone offer me a name? Because I don't know of one. I don't know of one. If you know of a name, I don't know of one. By the way, those of you who may not be familiar with, I'm at home in Oakland right now. And this is one of the plans for the installation of over 12,000 seats at the Oakland Coliseum so they can accommodate a Super Bowl, in this case, the 2005 Super Bowl, which I headed the bid effort for. That's what this is about. All right. Osman says Ray Rice was a very violent video. It certainly was. And that's my point. That was a violent video. The Kareem Hunt video was violent, how with the difference being between the two is Ray Rice really hit her and should have gone to jail. I mean, that was awful. Okay, it was just awful to even have that mentality in to think that was okay. All right. It just was. Hey, Sean Grogan. Sean says Ray Rice was in the last few years of his career and not in his peak. Hunt as a top 5 running back, he will be back in the NFL. For him's sake, I can only hope so. Learned his lesson. Because it does matter what happened. And so it doesn't matter what happened. It does matter what happened. And it's also appropriate and good that he says he's in the wrong. Now, let's talk about, and that's the problem with this. It takes away that incident from talking about the game. So, let's go back to basically doing this, just that. Let's talk about Kansas City's 40-33 win. I congratulate Patrick Mahomes, whose agent is a good friend of mine, Lee Steinberg, who I saw twice this week. First at the Cal Stanford big game, since he and I are both old Blues, Cowgirls. And second at the Raiders game, because of course his client Patrick was playing. So and so it started off, but if you think about it, if you take a look at this, it started off okay. It started off with the Chiefs fumbling, but then the Raiders, once they got the ball, 3 plays and punt, they didn't do nothing with it. And then the Chiefs, when they got the ball, in 2 plays, they scored a touchdown. The Raiders fumbled, all right, to which the Chiefs returned in favor with a field goal. In other words, there was no stop. There was no punt. The Raiders get the ball back, they punt. Chiefs punt. Then the Raiders fumble again. All right? That's twice. Twice. Fumbled again, okay? And that's just the first half, all right? Hold on to the football, all right? Chiefs field goal to open the second quarter, 12 plays, field goal. Raiders finally get on off the schneid, they score a touchdown. The Chiefs answer back with a touchdown. Then the Raiders answer back with a field goal. The Chiefs answer with a touchdown. The Raiders answer back with a touchdown. The Chiefs punt. The Raiders fumble. The Chiefs get the ball and score, after 7 plays, a touchdown. So then the Raiders score a touchdown to play catch up. The Chiefs punt. The Raiders score another touchdown. The Chiefs score a touchdown, and the Raiders score a field goal, and that's it. Fumbles, fumbles, fumbles. You can't win with fumbles. You got to hold on to the ball. Okay. Can't say it was an interception. Fumbles. Can't do it. Not only that, it's not just the turnovers, but it's how good you are as a team on defense that allows you to overcome those problems, and to which we have to look at the stats. And so we find that passing, Patrick Mahomes was 23 of 38 for 295 yards and 4 touchdowns is normally, standard scintillating performance, right? He was also the leading rusher. He had 9 carries for 52 yards, an average of 5.8 yards. Spencer Ware followed 14 for 47 yards. See, that's what I'm saying. It's quite obvious the Raiders missed Kareem Hunt here. I guess Raiders. Duh. It's quite obvious. Quite obvious, but I caught myself. It's quite obvious the Chiefs missed Kareem Hunt, who arguably would have had double this output, all right? But didn't. Damian Williams followed with 5 for 38. So maybe we should combine Ware and Williams, all right? Tyreek Hill was 2 for 37. Travis Kelce tore up the Raiders. He was 12 for 168 yards, 2 touchdowns, and wow, just average gain of 13 yards per catch. So we see basically that in total, and turnovers, not much, no interceptions to speak of, at all. So the Raiders followed in their performance with the following, and it wasn't exactly the greatest, but Derek Carr was 29 of 38 for 285 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. But Jalen Richard, hey, get this. Jalen Richard was 6 carries for 95 yards. Really good. 6 for 95. He averaged 15.8 yards per carry. Doug Martin was 18 carries for 61 yards and a touchdown. Derek Carr had 1 for 8. DeAndre Washington, he had 3 for 7. Jared Cook had 7 for 100 yards in terms of receptions. Now, in terms of team, in terms of yardage, in terms of total yards offense, they're rather similar. KC just had a bit of an edge, 469 yards to 42 yards for the Raiders. Passing, KC had the edge, 295 to 271. Rushing yards, Kansas City was ahead, 174 to 171. Average yards per play, 6.9 for Kansas City, 6.4 for Oakland. Points scored, okay. Here's the fumbles lost. Kansas City 1, Oakland 3. That's it. So given this obviously evenly matched contest, the difference, turnovers. Okay. But where I am dissatisfied is the Raiders basically played to the level of their opponent, but just not well enough to win against the opponent. You have to play above the level of your opponent. And schematically, what that means is, for example, when you get the opponent's turnover, sudden change on offense, call a bomb, throw a bomb, you know, uh, throw deep. And on defense, how about blitzing the safety far more often than the 0 times that you did? How about being more effective with various types of pressure? Okay. So, and how about throwing approaches at them that they haven't seen before? In fact, do you realize in this game, the Raiders didn't move the pocket with Derek Carr? All right. Just roll out here, play action. Sure. They had the play action. All right. I'm talking about rollouts, like that they had against the Cardinals. Not much shifting. Okay. It was not the best game plan. Not the best game plan. I'm saying that the standard for the Raiders should be not that they won or that they played to level their opponent or they showed fight, but they didn't smash their opponent. They didn't stop their opponent. That's what you're supposed to do. Okay. Um, anyway, Pedro Gallardo is here. How you doing? And I'm getting to your comments right now. And Osmo says Hunt and the lady were both in the wrong. Yes. Sean Grogan says, if and only if Hunt learns his lesson, he deserves a second chance. Osmo agrees. And then Pedro Gallardo says, glad we didn't let Chiefs score 50 points. Yeah, I was thinking that at the game. 30 to 40 is much more better effort. I would have preferred 41. I would have preferred basically 41 to 40 Raiders. I would actually have preferred 40 Raiders, 24 Chiefs. How's that? That would have been a real upset. I mean, something to just signal that there's a better future in the offing. The Raiders need to start showing that. It's the one thing to say, we got draft picks, man. But if you're not showing the coaching acumen to justify all of these picks and this future wealth, what difference does it make? Okay? What difference does it make? Sean Grogan says Raiders have to play a flawless game to win a game. Well, yeah, but here's my point, Sean. If the Raiders are better on defense, if they have more of a pressure approach or attack, then they don't have to as much worry about fumbles because they know that their defensive approach will take care of stopping the offense, right? But when you don't have a defense that's doing that, yeah, then it's time for concern. I'm not saying turnovers are acceptable, no, but I'm saying that make sure you have an approach that allows you the luxury of a screw up, okay? So that your defense can dig you out of a problem. All right. That's the idea. Okay. So so Timmy K says less people, less problems. Until you understand that, you'll always have that problem. Do your research before talking nonsense. And Timmy K, I have no idea what you're talking about. So or trying to say, because you made a comment that makes 0 sense. So how about this? Do your research on how to write a comment before writing nonsensical comments. Okay. MM Forever says that game must have been a lot of fun to be there live. I wish I could have gone. It was a lot of fun. Osma does not like the Oakland Coliseum design by the bot design. And he wants the Raiders to have a multi-level MSL soccer club. And Sean Groves says we lack in talent. I don't think we lack in talent. It's coaching. Okay. It's coaching. I don't think we lack in talent at all. No, I really don't. I don't think we lack in talent. I think I'll tell you what I think. I think basically that I think what we lack is an approach that says we are going to show you a look at some point, either on offense or defense, that you haven't seen all year long. Okay. The Raiders don't do that. All right. So, and so the high end drunk says, are we playing in Oakland next season? Well, Mark Davis says he wants to. Hey, Joseph Binsman, how you doing? Joseph says a game played out more or less how I thought it would. For some reason, people on the NFL Network seem to think the Raiders would score. Chiefs can be scored on. Cooks is a beast. Yeah, the Chiefs can be scored on, and given last year's contest, the Thursday night affair that saw Amari Cooper, who's now with the Dallas Cowboys, uh, rack up 210 yards receiving. You think about that game, you think, hey, well, last year this is what happened, and why can't the Raiders be as effective this year? All right. Emma Forever says, I don't like the design for the Coliseum site either. I think it should be a mixed shopping center, entertainment center, hotels, making Oakland Live like an LA Live. I agree. I like my idea for it. I really do. I like what I developed in terms of a stadium and hotel combination. And I think that could work very well there for the Athletics and for whatever other pro team that would come in. And that's what I dislike about the scheme is that it takes out any any implication that there would be football, either soccer or NFL style, in the future in Oakland on that site. That's what it takes out. It's like, wait a minute, why are you tearing down the stadium? What is it? Why demolish that? Okay. And why show so little desire to pay homage to the Oakland sports history, the rich Oakland sports history that we have? That doesn't make that's the one thing I don't like. It almost smacks of what we're going through today. It's like, hey, let's erase this, all right? Um, Ozma says it's a pointless baseball field. Yeah, it is. I mean, you got a ball field down over at Howard Terminal, and yet you're going to build this other ball field there, and outline it as if a stadium was there. I mean, that's a real head scratcher. I don't get that one at all. Pedro Gallardo says, I feel like this game showed a bright future. Fill in the weaknesses this offseason, and the team should be competitive next year. Todd Gake says, because the Raiders treated Oakland like trash, there's no need for the stadium. Too much money to maintain. But Todd, that's not my point. My point is this. We have gambling now in the United States that's legal, sports gambling. We have sports gaming that's growing. We have enough facilities activity right now with a Coliseum to generate a serious cash flow from sports gaming and gambling in the future. And we need to calculate what that can be right now rather than fooling around with ideas of having fewer sports teams and everything else. No, the future of sports is in gambling and money. I hate to say that because I realize the negative connotations that come with it, but there are people, and I have the paper, which I'm in the process of reading. I haven't finished reading it, who have shared the same document with the NFL, and they have the formula to take sports betting into the future and monetize the league in a way that it hasn't been before, which would help with media. Okay. Todd says, do you expect the NFL to return to Oakland? I think the question, yeah, I do. I do. I do. I really do. Look, this is a market that's not totally proven. Why? Because it has a team in the South Bay, the Niners, that for its life here, arguably, has existed with another team, the Raiders, and both have done exceptionally well. But the Raiders have not, because of the way they choose to run their business historically, have not shown, they've not produced a model of a viable football business entity in the East Bay, because the original owner felt that the sponsorships monies would come when they won and the merchandise sales. Fine. But that flies in the face of running your business as a brand and selling your brand so that the brand endures and generates demand for its product, its image product, regardless of the one loss record. The Dallas Cowboys can lay claim to that. The Dallas Cowboys haven't won a Super Bowl in a heck of a long time. And yet, which of the franchises is the richest in the league? It's the Cowboys. It really, arguably, uh, it should be the Giants. The Raiders should be up there too, but they're not. They're not. All right. So Osmus Todd says, "Oh, pro soccer." Yes, I see a pro soccer. In fact, to me, the NFL should be two sports: pro football and pro soccer. That should be the future of the NFL. And gambling, the ability to gamble on the outcomes, players, what have you. Ozma says, make it 40 to 50,000 seats, because stadium, casino, mixed hotels and houses. Yeah, at Coliseum City. Todd Gack says, I think if Oakland sues the Raiders, the NFL will not return. I disagree, because if Oakland sues the Raiders, Oakland will beat the Raiders in court and the NFL. And in the settlement, therein could lay the groundwork for the return of the NFL to Oakland. And I don't mean taking the Raiders' name. I'm personally not for that. I'm not, and I'm not for it just because I feel it's a great idea to start over. Now, if it comes to pass that could happen, okay, cool. All right. I'm not going to like vehemently argue against it. What I'm interested in is, regardless of whether it's the Raiders or some new entity, that we are able to have pro football in the future. And the reason I'm insistent on it being able to have pro football in the future is that pro football, I don't know if you've checked, pro football is still popular. It's still now more than ever the most popular entity on television. There's no indication that soccer is going to catch up with pro football in the United States yet. Around the world, it's a different story. Okay. And I just don't see it. Now, Remember Forever says, honestly, who's going to go to the park right across from the airport? It's a waste of valuable real estate space. Agreed. If Oakland's waving the white flag on the NFL, they need to create a valuable asset. Agreed. Remember, that's the A's proposal. Okay. Uzma says it would be smart for Vegas in a rebrand of the Raiders. Pedro Gallardo says, do you see a team relocate there? Teams like Jags, Bills, and Titans need new stadiums. I don't see the Titans doing it. And I don't know why there's this hunger to rip the Titans out of Nashville, which is an entertainment city in unto itself that has done well at maintaining NFL football, and it's growing entertainment. It's the capital of country, right? So how do you why mess with that? Country and football and pro football go together pretty well, I think. So I think that's a bad idea. Now, you mentioned the Bills. I could see that as a possibility. And the Jags, no. And the reason why I say no is because in April of this year, the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Jacksonville Economic Development Corporation announced the creation of a sports entertainment complex, okay, with a new stadium. A new stadium to be at its center. You hear what I'm saying? That's off into the future. So, I mean, excuse me, it's around the current stadium, and I believe that stadium is going to be refurbished. My point is that with the Jaguars personally, monetarily deep involved in developing such a facility, such a mixed use development, why would they want to relocate anyplace else? They obviously feel they have a future in Jacksonville, um, and the demographics are pointing the right direction. Why leave? Why leave? So Ozma says Bills ain't going nowhere. Ha ha ha. There you go. And Forever says the Titans are definitely the most vulnerable to move. I've heard the attendance is bad and the owners want a new stadium. Well, here's the thing. I think they'll get the new stadium there. And now proviso, I'm saying this not entirely aware of the politics, but I will say this. I'm enough aware of the politics to know when the representatives of the Nashville and the Nashville region show up to the NFL owners meeting in Atlanta and Buckhead because they're delighted that they're hosting the NFL draft next year. If you don't want pro football in your city, you don't get involved with the team owner to form a bid to bring the NFL draft to your city. Okay. So again, I've heard, yeah, I mean, again, I'm not sold on this idea that the Titans are ripe to move. I am not sold on it at all. Uh, I'm not seeing that in the behavior of. I mean, look, the relationship between the owner, the team owner, Amy Strunk, and the Nashville politicians and elected officials is really fantastic. Uh, and they're hand in glove. That's what I've seen personally, firsthand. So I don't share that idea. I don't at all. So I don't. And Osmo says Titans want a new stadium. Yeah, who doesn't really though? Osmo says I thought the stadium was opened in 1999. That's precisely the point. It was refurbished, but it's still look. A lot of stadiums have fallen to the places where they're substandard for reasons you can't see. The Coliseum, they say, oh, it's old. Okay, fine. But the problem is that, for example, the Coliseum, the kitchen for food is far away from the endpoint where you sit. Newer stadiums, the kitchens are closer. They're satellite kitchens throughout the facility, placing the stove closer to where it has to be, which is where you sit. Okay. And you might say, well, gee, how come they can't replicate that in current stadiums? And they can, but you still have to spend money to have it refurbished. Uh, and the thinking is, hey, for the amount of money that you have to spend to refurbish a stadium to do that, you might as well, in a number of cases, just build a whole new stadium. All right. So Joseph Benson says, true, the NFL, the draft should mean good money for Nashville too. Yeah, great exposure already because, hey, look, where's the NFL draft going to be? Nashville. So Nashville's going to get an awesome, unprecedented level of exposure. Unprecedented level of exposure. Especially if they do that humongous NFL draft village that takes up like 25 city blocks. Huge stuff, man. Takes forever to walk through. The one in Philadelphia, 2017 draft, what I intended there, that was, I understand Dallas is even bigger than that, but ooh, man, it took me a good hour to walk from one end of that. Yeah, it's about right, an hour to walk from one end of that to the other. That's how big that was. That whole layout because I have it on video blog. You watch it. It wasn't quite a. However, the long the video blog was, that's how long it took me. It was maybe 30 minutes or something like that. 30 minutes, not an hour. So, hey, good night, Sean. I'll see you. You got it. You, Osmo, why don't you like the Vegas design? And see you. Good night. It's like I'm curious. Why do you dislike the Vegas design? And that might be a good idea. Oh, look what I found here. Ooh, trust me, little handy dandy boom mic I've been looking for all over. I was gonna hook this up and then make it focus back on the design. What do you dislike about the Vegas design? I'm curious because it's tacky. Can you? Good night, Sean. When you say it's tacky, what do you mean? Can you explain what is meant by tacky? Why is it tacky? Tacky like how? Like what? Tacky. What is it? What is it? I feel like Joe Pesci in the Goodfellas. What is it? What is tacky to you? Am I tacky to you? Just kidding. It's funny. His insecurity was so great that he thought the guy was like, "Do I amuse you like a clown?" Oh, that was hilarious. Do I amuse you like a clown? Tacky. What is meant by tacky? It looks like a glassed toasty. It's meant to look like a black sports car. To me, I think the whole sports car metaphor for a sports stadium is kind of weird. That's not working for me, right? If I had my druthers, I would have wanted a design more like where the Seahawks play, but enclosed, so that you have this, or it's almost approximates Cowboy Stadium, but then you have the hole in the roof, right? But the whole point is that it emphasizes fan involvement up close. You got the majority of seats on the sidelines and not the end zones. What bothers me about the Raiders design is that you have a lot of seats on the end zones and not as many on either sideline, tall. So I mean, maybe they didn't want people that high, but I mean, that's switching there and lay the issue. You either have them on the sideline and taller, or if you want to have them not so high, you have to put them on the end zones. And then yeah, Osmo loves the design. He said he's seen it in person last year. Oh, you're talking about the Seahawks design? Yeah, I've been there. That stadium is a fantastic place to watch a football game. It really is, and also a soccer game. And that's the whole point of it. It's great dual purpose facility. It just lacks a dome. And to me, the best stadium design ever is that design domed. Okay, or with a retractable roof. Because if you take a look at it, if you take a look at the way it's laid out, it has a roof bearer support structure that, with just a little more reinforcement about the corner columns, 1, 2 here, where could support a retractable roof engine system, right? Talking about the Seattle complex, and that would be perfect for the Raiders in Las Vegas, considering the weather, because I don't like the EFTE roof the way it's depicted in the artist's rendition. Looks like it brings in too much light, and I can see that facility getting really overheated in the Vegas summers, and Vegas hot weather, and having these humongously bad energy use requirements, and having these uncomfortable periods where it's just too hot to be in. So Uzma says the Vikings did it right. They did. Now, Johnny says he loves the Cowboys stadium structure. Yeah, I do too. He says The whole design is relying on two huge arches. That's crazy to me. Haha. Awesome. Just arches. Awesome. Yeah, and that arch design though, do you know where they got that from? They got that from Reliance Stadium in Houston, Texas. Because I think Jerry wanted it become this. It was like this Texas duel, right? I mean, you had Texas Stadium, which was state of the art, Irving, Texas, with a hole in the roof. It wasn't retractable; it just had a hole in the roof. And it set this. It was the first stadium to have luxury boxes. The Cowboys did as much as they could under Jerry Jones in terms of keeping that up before they had to replace it. Between the time that Jerry Jones became owner and of the Cowboys up until 1999, well, actually just after 1999, uh, he sort of got away with thinking he had the state of the art, and then Reliant Stadium opened, and that showed Jerry Jones front and center. He did not, particularly during the 2004 Super Bowl, he did not have state of the art. The Texans, and I've been there to watch a Super Bowl game, have one of the best stadiums to watch a Super Bowl game ever. Why? Because the corridors where you stand in line to buy sodas and food, or drink water, healthy drink, not necessarily sodas. Because I understand we're health conscious and you shouldn't be drinking sodas and everything anymore. But that facility allows you to stand in line, and yet there's so much space behind you that people can walk behind the line, and you don't have to worry about them cutting between you, or there not being enough space, right? There's space. It's well laid out that way. So is the 49ers stadium at bottom level. The 49ers stadium has a problem for the Super Bowl at the top level because it's narrow. And so that hallway up there it can get chalked. And they need to have people, they need to have the lines queued sideways so that you have more area to walk through. Okay, that's the problem with Levi Stadium that I experienced up there. It gets bottlenecked up there for Super Bowl. So that needs to be straightened out. MM Forever says, why can't the A's just renovate the Coliseum like the Angels did with Angel Stadium? It'll be way cheaper and preserve history and keep the parking and be way cheaper. Because the mayor wanted our terminal. Okay. Uzma doesn't like Levi. I'm not a fan of Levi entirely either, because to me, Levi is a giant erector set. Now, back to MM Forever's comment about the A's. The mayor wanted Howard Terminal, and and it's important to understand in the history of this. Oh, and Johnny Miramontes asks, "Have you been to the Super Bowl in Glendale?" I have. And how's that stadium? I like that too. Uh, I wasn't necessarily a fan of that transparent skin because, again, also it's that erector set feel. It felt cheap. And you think they spent, it's a multi-billion-dollar stadium, and you think, why does this feel like this gigantic high school place? But that said, uh, once you settle in and you get used to it, it's okay. I think the other problem I had I know the other problem I had. It was more outdoors than indoors. Indoors, I was okay with it in general. I think I was also a little pissed off at the time that I didn't. I thought I was getting a ticket to the NFL tailgate party, and I didn't. So I was like waiting for friends, all that. But and I say that because I thought they had ticket. You set people up, and you want them to take care of you, and they don't. Whatever. That's all in the past. Anyway, coming back to my point. Um, in fact, now I think about it, had I not been there at that early point, I would never have met the late Steve Sable of NFL Films, and I did. Great guy. Rest in peace. Now, back to your point. And John, you said it is a glorified high school stadium. That's how I looked at it. Okay, it's big, but that's exactly how I looked at it. It's big. It's got the sheathing around it. Okay, fine. It's got a retractable roof. Okay, fine. But it was obviously done where someone said, "Hey, this is really costing us 1.3 billion." 1.3 billion. Peel back. We can't afford all that. Okay. That's what it looks like. It looks like it. It looks like it says, "This is enough." You know, that's what it looks like. Um, but what I didn't like about it wasn't there. It was the parking lot and the dust storms that kick up and get sand and dirt in your face. And that happened after the Super Bowl. It was so bad that I couldn't open my eyes. I was shielding them. It was awful, folks. I ran into this dude saying, "Oh, excuse me." It was a dude I ran into was MC Hammer, a friend of mine. Oh, dude, what's going on? That was terrible. That was the Super Bowl pitting the New England Patriots versus the New York Giants. The Giants won with Eli Manning's great pass to Plaxico Burress in the end zone. Okay. Uh, Johnny Miramonte says the dust storms in Phoenix are crazy. Ha! I live 4 hours southeast from there. Yeah, so you know what I'm talking about. Those dust storms are nothing. They are nothing to sneeze at. They are awful. And to have a parking facility that's not paved, okay, that's dirt. So you have this place where people are parking and it's dirt, it's gravel. Why would you allow a gravel place knowing there are dust storms? So you already have the dust storms, but you're going to exacerbate the problem by having ground that's dust. So it makes it worse as opposed to just, paved parking all over. Didn't have that. It's like, well, they got lazy. Or there's that word again, cheap. We spent $1 billion. That's enough. All right, I get it. Make any sense to me at all. Also says, check out the Qatar stadiums for the World Cup 2022. Yeah, those are. But see, I'm glad you mentioned Qatar, uh, Philippines. They have no problem showing, the governments do, they have the will and the initiative to complete big projects. And so what you get fantastic palaces, sport palaces that can withstand gigantically powerful earthquakes, among other things. And that's the way it's supposed to be, okay? You're not supposed to half-ass it like we tend to do in many cases in the United States. Wow. See, folks, money is a person-made construct. We used to say man-made, okay? And the idea is that money is some sort of natural thing that grows on trees. It doesn't. It doesn't. Doesn't. Ugh. All right. So getting back to the Raiders, let's see who the Raiders' next opponent is. Oh, and getting back to the stadium issue, I would like to see the A's produce a version of Coliseum City that allows both the Athletics and the city of Oakland and Alameda County to make money from the growing industries of sports gaming and sports gambling. That's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see a thoughtful eye toward an obvious future. Right now, I don't see that. Okay. But hey, is it exciting? Yeah. Do I want the A's to have their Howard Terminal facility? Yeah. Because it would be a complete game changer for Oakland and how people think about Oakland and how Oakland thinks about itself. Sadly, Oakland's big problem is it not just its inferiority complex, but and I just have to put this out there. Oakland has been ashamed to be black. Oakland, for much of its post-war life, has been a predominantly black city, but it acts like it's apologizing for that. Oh, we have less this, we have less crime, we have less. Well, what are you saying? Okay, because the population changed, because you have gentrification. You have an economic injustice out there in terms of homelessness. It's not being dealt with. Okay. All right. Enough of that. Let's talk NFL. And how about Lamar Jackson? Whoa. I mean, Lamar Jackson, under Lamar Jackson, the Baltimore Ravens, first round NFL draft, first round pick quarterback. They snuck back in the first round to get him. They're 3 wins, no losses. Lamar Jackson beat the Atlanta Falcons with his feet, was taken out on concussion protocol, brought back in, and picked up where he left off, scoring a touchdown. Okay. Maurice Keith says Oakland has its issues with homeless. Yeah, we do. Because we along with others, let the California government under Jerry Brown get rid of redevelopment. Had we maintained redevelopment, we would have had the housing, and we would have had far less of a homeless problem, by far. Now we're playing catch up with our own errors, all right? Johnny says Lamar is not a good quarterback. I disagree. How could you say that? He's 3 wins and no losses. He's an excellent quarterback. What? While I am digging up Lamar Jackson statistics right now, I want to know from you why you say, Donnie, why do you say that Lamar Jackson is not a good quarterback when it's quite obvious that he was the secret weapon that led the Baltimore Ravens to their 26-16 victory? Excuse me, not so secret weapon. All right. If we take a look at the stats rather than the highlights, we find Lamar Jackson was 12 of 21 for 125, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Okay. Throwing wise, he was less than 50%. I blame that on the passing schemes that Marty Morningway has designed, which don't emphasize short passing and should. Don't leave open the obvious wide open receiver, which can be done. Now, Sam Koch 1 for 1. Robert Griffin came in to relieve Jackson. He was 2 of 4. Rushing, Jackson was Gus Edwards was 21 of 82. Lamar Jackson 17 for 75. And Dixon was 8 for 37. Ty Montgomery was 3 of 13. So they had once again that powerful running combination. Okay. So quite powerful running combination. So so you had, and as a team, Baltimore outgained the Falcons. Get this, 366 total yards to 131 total yards all game for the Falcons. Are you kidding me? Passing, Ravens 159, Falcons 97. Rushing, Baltimore again over 200 yards, 207 yards versus 97 yards for the Falcons. Average yards per play, 4.8 for the Ravens, 2.9 for the Falcons. Of course, we know points scored. Fumbles lost, they're both even, 1-1. Sacks allowed, Baltimore allowed 2, Atlanta allowed 3. Third down efficiency, Baltimore 46%, Atlanta 22%. Penalties, Baltimore 9, Atlanta 8. But man, those offensive numbers and that defense. Look, what is it? What is it again? Offense sells tickets, defense wins championships. Jacob Ebersol says Jamar Jackson is better than Flacco. Is that what they mean? Maurice Keith says these people are still calling Carr a good QB, yet has 1 winning season in 5 years. True. Johnny Miramonte says, has an excellent runner. Throwing motion is awkward and not fundamentally stable, which is fixable. Throwing motions are always fixable. So what's your point? After first read is covered, do you know the play? You don't. He struggles to stand in and throw accurately to non-primary options. Johnny, you don't know the design of the play. He may have been taught to throw to one person, and you assume there's a secondary, and you don't know that without asking Marty Morningwig or showing the play. Don't make assumptions about what the quarterback is supposed to do if, in point of fact, you don't know. Make it easy for yourself. Look at, first of all, how the receiver he's throwing to is open. In other words, is he an open? Is it open? Is it an easy throw? Yes or no? What kind of coverage was being uh, deployed? Where were the other receivers going? Because sometimes receivers, particularly in Morning's offense, are just decoys. Gruden does the same thing. So what you think may be a primary, or may not be, it may be just an alert or a decoy, and where he was throwing to may very well have been the primary with no secondary. All right, in other words, the assumption is that's open. You don't know. Sometimes quarterbacks make a receiver who isn't drawn up as a secondary tertiary just because they're eligible receivers. All right. There is that, but then there's what the quarterback is taught to do. You know who reminded me of that? It was Derek Carr in an interview that I had with him. He says, I only do what the coaches tell me to do. So the logical question is, what did the coach tell Lamar Jackson to do? The problem with your exposition and many fans is that they're brainwashed by the way announcers call a game and blame everything on the player and don't blame anything on the coach. All right. It's almost as if in the preparation meetings, they say, hey, look, don't criticize the coach because you want to talk to the coach. You want to have some access to our team, right? Criticize the player because we can get rid of the players. You can get rid of the coach too. But think about it. All right. So again, I disagree with that. I completely disagree with that. Miramonte says run first QBs don't have a good track record. His frame isn't built to run 23 times a game. Now, I agree with you there. I don't think, look, Lamar didn't run that many times in college. And again, to me, that's the whole black quarterback thing. He's black and he can run. Let's let him do it, right? Lamar is a very effective thrower. And what I have issues with, okay, is the Ravens are not training him or developing an offense that is pass first, but leaves the run option open for him should he take it. Now, how do you do that? Widen the line splits of the linemen, widen the wide receivers to take up the formation, so the formation takes up the width of the field, leaves holes open so the quarterback can run through as an option. Okay, move the pocket of the quarterback so that it's harder for the defense to zero in on where the quarterback is going to be. Occasionally have trick plays where you have the halfback pass, the wide receiver pass, the tight end pass, the fullback pass. You get it, okay? Make it difficult to zero in on where the point of attack is going to be. That's what's not done with Lamar Jackson, okay? That's what's not done with Lamar Jackson, all right? But Johnny, I do agree with you about run first quarterbacks. Pedro Gallardo says, feel safe to say Joe Flacco will play somewhere else next year. Yep. Rob Iman says, I see Flacco going to Tampa Bay or Jacksonville. I don't see him going to Tampa Bay. I see Tampa. I'm going to say this very boldly. I see the Buccaneers winning out their schedule. Okay. I see the Buccaneers winning out their schedule, going 9-7. Wild card, perhaps, but I see them winning out their schedule. They're playing that kind of ball. They finally got the right mesh between offensive design and intent and what the talent of their quarterback, Jameis Winston, presents. Okay. And smarts. Dude is smart, both off the field and on. Dude was 4.0 student. Okay. People don't know that because he got mixed up with the wrong people, wrong women, and the wrong friends. He should have went to Stanford, not Florida State. If Jameis Winston had went to Stanford, he would not have gotten into the trouble he got into at Florida State. He would have been just as successful, arguably more so. Just saying. Rob Iman says the read option ruins the shelf life of a quarterback. I agree. Ozma, I like read option action, but I don't like read option having my quarterback run all the time. Okay, I don't like. I like if you want to have a variety show running game, look at what the Cowboys did in the 70s. Take your off, but take it a step further. All right. If you want to have somebody else throw, get your running back to throw. It's devastating when you're faced with a halfback sweep and all of a sudden the halfback pulls up and throws, right? We don't see that a lot anymore. We see it a lot during the 70s because people are running the sweeps all the time. Let's see it again. Let's see it again. All right. So when was the last time we saw flanker back like he's going to take a screen, but then throws the ball, right? Throws it crossfield, right? Why not have multiple? When I say multiple launch points, take it a step further and have multiple people throwing the ball. Like have a rule that, okay, I'm going to have somebody else other than the quarterback throw the ball at least 5 times a game. Think about that, at least 5 times a game. Why not? I mean, you have somebody else running the ball other than your major running back that many times a game. So why not? Right? So Uzma says, have you seen the waterfront cities in Singapore image? If Oakland can develop it like that. You know, I like what big architects, Bjork Ingles Group has come up with. The jewel box. That's something else. That thing, if it's built the way it's designed, is going to be a tourist attraction like Oakland has never seen, never had in its civic life. We deserve that, okay? We really deserve to have our own thing, you know. So I think it's quite fascinating. I really do. Elizabeth says landmark indeed. Yeah, no, I applaud what Dave Cavall is doing. You know, I really do, and it's they haven't called me for help, so hey, whatever. I think they're doing fine. I guess they're doing fine. I hope they're doing fine. Um, there we go. Yeah, I always want to be involved. Like, help my city, man. Help my city, man. Quarterback. Just kidding. Hey, thumbs up, by the way. So we got 2 thumbs up. Got 18 people on. Hey, welcome to Zennie62, by the way. Rob Iman. Hey, Rob, how you doing? Robert says Howard Terminal could be the revitalization Oakland needs. I think it is. I really think it is. What's missing in the A's proposal, and the city should allow the A's to do, is use tax increment financing to finance the development of affordable housing down there, and also to indirectly fund extra additional city services down there. There's a kind of a loophole way to do that. Yeah, definitely, definitely, definitely. That's what should be done. Let me see something here. Oh, it's funny. It's 3 o'clock. Let me see something here. I just want to see something with. I didn't write Las Vegas update because I didn't really expect there was anything to tell. And let's see here. Alternative routes. T-Mobile using customer data, shorten waiting times. Okay. By the way, congratulations to my sturdy Cal Golden Bears playing TCU. We're playing TCU December 26th. Be very exciting. And we're in a bowl game. I love it. Cal football is going to a bowl game. And what do you think of college football matchups? And I mean, I think I don't care what anyone says. I'll just say it. The University of UCF has just straight up gotten robbed. They're 29. They're 29. 20, no, excuse me. They're 25 and nothing. 25 wins 0 losses. All right. Johnny Miramonte says Oklahoma should be number 4. Yeah. Uh, and oh, by the way, the Cow Bowl is called the Cheez-It Bowl. Cheesy, huh? Does that mean you get free Cheez-Its? I want to know. Do we get free Cheez-Its? If you are a card carrying member of the Cal Alumni Association, it says life member, I want free Cheez-Its. I want free Cheez-Its. I'm just saying. Are you saying they're bad for me? Okay, fine. Yeah. I'm not gonna eat a lot of them. I just want them just to give away or whatever. All right. Um Husma says that the Howard Terminal A's proposal reminds him of the Sydney Opera House as a type of landmark. It does. And that's exactly how it's going to go down. That thing is going to be on postcards and web pages all over the world as Oakland's new civic symbol when it's finished. And then lit up at night and everything. Okay. It's going to be incredible. I mean, incredible in capital, in all caps. That's how great it's going to be. Now, getting back to this, here's my prediction for the national champion, Notre Dame. Notre Dame will be the national champion. Brian Kelly has done such an outstanding job of bringing the Fighting Irish back from mediocrity to respectability to stardom that he should be knighted. Okay. In fact, Catholic Church might be cooking up some equivalent to that right now. But I've been impressed with Coach Kelly's approach going back to Cincinnati when he would commonly and popularly use 4 wide receivers on one side of the ball as a standard passing set. I loved it. Okay. Johnny Miramonte says Brian Kelly needs another opportunity at the National Football League. Yeah, he does. But let's let him win the national championship first. You know what I'm for? Let the coach stay at the college. Why does the coach need to go out to the NFL? Make it exciting, Rob Iman says, looking forward to Fresno State versus ASU in the Vegas Bowl. Yeah. Arizona State, by the way. So Herm Edwards. And that's another something. Herm Edwards. All right. Has taken in his first year. Think about this. This is Herm Edwards' first year as a coach. And he has them, okay? He has them going to a ball. All right. He has them going to a ball. I mean, and some idiot says Herm Edwards and Steelwork hires didn't go as expected. He's basically taking 2 black cultures and bundling them together. And that's so racist, okay? I mean, they upset Michigan State, right? And then this idiot writes this stuff. I mean, I don't get what, that's racist. That perfect proof of the fact that racism is a mental illness. All right. I mean, look, Herm Edwards took over the Arizona State program, not last year, but this year. Okay. This year. He is, and people say, well, and this is what we're in September 1st of 2018. It says Edwards, 64, hasn't coached since he was going 2-14 with the Chiefs in 2008. The ASU hire was all about his relationships with the athletic director. No other program excuse me, no other person in the college ranks gets the job. But if they're white, it's by merit. But if it's black, it's because of who they knew. That's what this bullshit is that comes out. Okay? This is what this garbage is. All right? And he says, the Sun Devils athletic director, Ray Anderson, is close with Edwards. Heck, I know Ray Anderson. He's with the NFL, all right? And he says that during Edwards' NFL coaching career, Edwards was his agent. The two of them stayed in touch. After all, this is about networking. And he says, this is the true story of Edwards to ASU as told to Richard Johnson of SB Nation. Then last fall, Edwards was back, this time with his wife and kids. Anderson prodded Edwards again, asking him if he remembered that dinner. A month later, after parting ways with Todd Graham, who, he didn't do a good job, Anderson called once more, this time with a job, says, "Hey, Herm, you see what we're doing out here, man. There's no ordinary situation. It's special, man. It's one of a kind. You need to listen to this. You need to understand that there's a whiteboard opportunity to change the model to make a difference. No, these men are not reinventing football, but, they're certainly neat pairing in the game." What do you mean new pairing? This is racist. Look, I'm going to say right here, look, it's obvious the undertones about this are that white folks are upset that a black guy got this job. Okay, but then that same black guy, all right, that same black guy did what? He got them to a bowl game, right? He got them to a bowl game, all right? He got them to a bowl game. And yet you have this nut saying a day ago in Arizona Central, this Ken Summers columnist, boy, I was wrong about the head coaching hires made by ASU and Cardinal almost a year ago. And he says they didn't go quite as expected. All right. Now maybe he's writing this tongue in cheek. Maybe the headline is misreading just to get people like me a little pissed off, right? Whatever the case, all right? Because whatever the case, that's what it's done, all right? Because what he says is he says it didn't go, he says they didn't go as expected. I didn't give Herm Edwards. He said he didn't give Herm Edwards much of a chance. Okay, this is a tricker. The headline led me to believe something else. It goes, I didn't give Herm Edwards much of a chance of succeeding at ASU, and I thought Steve Wilkes would successfully guide the Cardinals into a new era. Okay, now you know what I didn't have the same feeling about Herm Edwards as he did. I do agree about Steve Wilkes, however. Steve Wilkes turned in a disappointing performance. His offense was it as promising as it looked come preseason because of its attention to fundamentals. It wasn't as varied as it needed to be effective. That's the problem. John Marinante says, Rob Iman says, looking forward to Fresno State. Got that one. Marinante says, you think Notre Dame beats Rolling Tide? Yes, I do. Jacob says, keep Chip Kelly too. John Mary Montes says, go Sun Devils. Jacob says that Chip Kelly needs another shot at the NFL. Me, I'm kind of like, nah, whatever. I'm not sold on Chip Kelly as a coach. Okay, I'm just not. Emma Forever says, why does nobody talk about John Fisher being absent from all the public appearances for the A's? I've never once seen him for 20 years. It's embarrassing. Well, look, I think that's great. To me, John Fisher is a lot like Clint Murchison of the Dallas Cowboys, who is the first owner of the Cowboys, created the Cowboys. Mr. Murchison, you never saw him. He didn't talk much at all. He let the people he hired do the work and take the credit and the blame front and center. Tex Schramm, president of the Cowboys, Tom Landry as head coach, Gil Brandt, director of player personnel, created much of the modern approach to pro football that was then refined by Bill Walsh, even to the front office level. So that's the way it should be. I don't care that John Fisher wants to make an appearance or not. Dave Cavall is front and center as the president. The focus should be on him. Just like with the Raiders, the focus really should be on Mark Bedane, not Mark Davis, okay? But Mark wants the attention, all right? As Rob Iman just wrote, the best owners just sign the checks. That's it. I could not, thank you, Rob. I could not have said it better myself, all right? Rob Iman says there's talk of replacing Wilkes with Todd Bowles. They just got, Steve Wilkes just got there. Give him a chance. Give him a chance, okay? He just got there. He just got there. Give him a chance. And Anthony A says, I played collegiately. But anyway, Rob Iman says it. The best owners, I like that. The best owners just sign the checks. I like that. The best owners just sign the checks. And Jacob Ebersol says, guess Mark Davis is the best then. Well, he's not just signing the checks, because Mark Davis is a face. A person in the NFL who is an example of someone who's not publicly out there a lot was the late Paul Allen, rest in peace. Another person who is not always out there is not that he's press shy, but you don't hear a lot from him, is Steve Bisciotti. You hear more about the people that run the Ravens than he. But he's not entirely in the background. But the Bears with the McCaskies, that's as a family. Virginia McCaskey is the real ownership face, but you don't hear from her. You don't hear her on talk shows. You don't hear her giving interviews to people on Zennie62 media, okay? As Rob Iman just kindly pointed out, the Rooneys rarely make public appearances. That's the way it should be. Woody Johnson of the Jets rarely makes a public appearance, except when it's philanthropic. That's the way it should be, okay? Johnny Miramonte says, Packers owners mainly. Another good example. Rob Iman says, Jed York is much better staying away from media. Yeah. And, Jed was out there too much. All right. And he was getting these press conferences after firing the coaches. And who knows, he may do the same thing again, given the way the Niners are going. And then taking on the press and making it personal at times. He didn't need to do that. Rob Iman says, Packers are publicly owned. Right, but it doesn't stop anybody from being the face that, the titular head that makes the statements, right? Rob Iman says, Jed York is much better staying away from the media. Jacob Ebersol says, can't hide in Vegas. No, you can't hide as an NFL owner unless you want to. Well, the best way to hide is to say nothing. There you go. Let somebody else do the talking. Let somebody else do the talking, okay? Folks, I'm going to head to bed. I want to thank everybody. Tomorrow night's live stream will be earlier, more than likely from San Francisco International Airport. Ooh. Yeah, we'll be there. All right. Good night, everybody. And as John Marks, who is not here, would say, watch horror films, keep America strong. Good night, everybody. I'm going to write good night. And thank you. Good night. And thanks. Oh, and by the way, make sure you bookmark OaklandNewsNow.com. Make sure you bookmark that. Excuse me. Yeah, here you go. Make sure you bookmark that. OaklandNewsNow.com. Check it out. More coming. See ya. Good night.